Kind of like we're trying to promote a community here. I mean, come on. You know how
Yeah,
clicky the server is, and all servers are clicky.
it's silly. Yeah, there's no reason for it to be clicky anymore.
That's like fine. Then you don't have to come to my channel, and you don't have to watch. I mean, okay.
Yeah,
thanks
pretty
for
much.
thanks for talking to me.
Yeah. All right. Now we're good. I got everything going. Uh, and you guys are ready.
Yep.
Let's just get it started, all right?
All right.
All right. Welcome everybody to MogTalk. Today is episode 5. It is Monday, March 23rd, 2015. Tonight, I have Gilly Valentine,
Yo.
Adagio with me.
How's it going?
Hey. All right, and they're going to be talking with me about a few different concepts I got. And Adagio, Gilly really knows this well, but every single show it seems like I've had a talk about Triple Triad. And we're going to go into that again today because there is just a little bit news on it, and it was from Yoshida, so
Yeah.
it's worth talking about. So, anyways, today that's one of the things we're going to talk about is Triple Triad. I have a few horror stories. I posted up a Reddit thread maybe a week ago, a little bit less than a week ago, about just static horror stories. And I wanted to just
hmm
talk about a few of the good ones that I saw in there. And maybe you guys will have some you can share with me. Have you guys always been in a static together with each other?
No, we have not actually. We just joined a static last patch in second coil.
Hmm.
They were downing 6 through 8, and I guess they ended up losing their tank. And I was looking for a position, and they were like, "Hey, join in trial," because I was actually in a free company with Gilly and group to start out with when the group started, and we ended up breaking up.
Hmm.
So they gave me a tryout, and we ended up getting through all 3 turns that night, and then started trying to do T9. And basically, they're like, "Hey, let's keep this guy on because he's awesome."
Hey, if you're awesome, man. It works
Yep.
out for you. So, and the other stuff that I want to talk about is I wanted to get into a good discussion tonight. I want to talk a bit about everyone's thoughts on in-game content and kind of just opinions on it, and we'll jump into that later. And then there's a few just bits of news to talk about for things that are going to be closing at the end of the month. So you already have admirers right now, Adagio.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
growing kind of faster than I thought, but you know.
All right. So let's go ahead and beat this dead horse. Triple Triad. So, Yoshida made a post about this on the forums. I mean, ever since the tournament came out, there's been posts and posts of just rage hate everywhere about the tournament because of how unbalanced it is, and it just doesn't make any sense. But Yoshida came out and talked about it, and I thought that would be worth talking about. And it's actually a pretty long post. Um, Basically, he goes over a few different concepts of how they can fix it with what resources they have. They don't really have a lot of resources right now since they're working on 2.55 and they're also working on, you know, Heaven's Ward. So they have a handful of suggestions they can do right now. What they hope to implement, and just before I even get into that, Adagio, since you're kind of new to my rants about this, how much have you actually played Triple Triad?
I started off pretty hard on it. Started farming the cards for the first tournament. Got my drops from Ultros. I forget which cards he drops, but I got those. So I got a couple of very high-end rare cards, double A side cards. And I ended up getting 30 cards, but then like tournament came around and I heard people were just like, "Oh well, the top people are cheating and it's all pay to win," and it really disheartened me. And since the
Uh,
first tournament, I essentially haven't played any at all. I mean, I
yeah,
still do some card farming on primals, but I mean, I haven't played any triple triad since then.
yeah. Gilly, have you participated any at this week at least?
I did.
You did. That's right. No, you're one ahead of me. That's right. You're like 2 points ahead of me.
Yeah, I played against my alt.
Yeah. I mean, what's the point? Yeah, you might as well just
Yeah.
do whatever, get the games out of the way. Um, I mean, the very first night I saw one of the players who is at the top of the board right now. He just played a whole bunch of different people over and over and over again to get that top score, and he's like, "I'm done. I played for my few hours of grinding on it on letting people give me wins, what's the point anymore? And so he's probably going to end up with a Cecil card for doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to go for the Shintoto. I just kind of was like, how do I get that card? I could
Yeah.
easily boost this.
And it sucks because like you have this really exclusive thing, and it's going to be close knit. The people who it's like, I don't know, whoever is the top cheater. All right.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, it sucks because you have to be good at something besides Triple Triad to get Triple Triad cards. But
One thing I'm kind of curious too is how do you get points to get higher, or do you have to beat someone higher than you?
the points are so weird. Like I was looking at it earlier in my last 5 games. I stopped caring. I knew I wasn't going to get to the top 3, and so I was playing a friend of mine. And then, I was playing a game. He had a few, like 111 points that he could give, and I had 104 points I could give. And so I was at a point to where we were going to draw, and I hate draws. It does nothing for anyone. So I threw the match. I was like, might as well give you some points in there since you've only played a few games and you can get up a little bit higher. And the next time he played me, I was worth 105 points. So my value just increased as I lost. And I didn't really understand how that whole system worked. I don't know if they understand how the system works, to be honest with you. They just kind of put some quick matrix together. But
Yeah, I was kind of curious because it's like as I was playing my alt against my alt, I was like, I got my perfect 20, and I was like, I'm still 13 or 14.
I don't know, man. It was weird. I really think the best way to do it is if you could get 20 people, and then they all had alts, and then you would have, them all play each other's alts, and you get 19 wins on each one. Just have 19 characters with 19 wins, and then give all of their wins to one player.
Oh, that makes sense.
So
now.
with 20 people, you would be at the top of the board right now. But then again, you have to have 20 people who, don't care that you're a POS. You won't cheat your way to the top. But I mean, honestly, I've had people offer to help me out to get to the top 2, and it's just like they're kind of frustrated with the situation, but they know I play Triple Triad and I love Triple Triad, and they're like, man, I don't care, I'll give you points. But I didn't accept it this time. You saw with my 9 wins out of 20.
Yeah.
And I think I'm still number 20 on the board with 9 wins. I don't know. The system's crazy. But I went a little bit off on a tangent there. So Yoshida said one of the things that he's going to hope to implement is first, he wants to make NPCs easier. So to me, honestly, I didn't think the NPCs are difficult, but they're supposed to be difficult, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it really easy to farm the cards fast enough.
Yeah, I mean, and you're not supposed to go up to and beat every single NPC the same way you beat Elmer, which you can beat with your starter deck, just because a few smart moves with plus. But yeah, I don't know if maybe it is the right call. I don't know. There are a few like Swift that just need rule alterations. Like I don't think Chaos is a really good rule, especially when you have a little tiny 1/3 of the day window. So. Maybe that I don't know why they really shouldn't make it easier. But then again, I got all my cards. I don't care anymore. I mean, what do you guys think about the difficulty of NPCs? Adagio, do you think it's like too easy right now or too hard?
Honestly, the difficulty in NPCs, I don't think they're difficult at all. Yeah, they have some pretty hard cards to beat, but you're really fighting the rules. You're not fighting the NPCs. I mean, the random rules and the chaos rules and the order rules, those are the hardest rules to fight when you have a crap deck. But, I mean, that's what you're fighting. You're fighting the rules. The NPCs are nothing, really.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think, too. I mean, and once you get 30 cards, it's not nearly as bad. With 1-star cards, of course, it's going to suck with most of the NPCs. But when you get like 30 cards and you start doing 2-star cards, it starts to become a lot more manageable. And when you have 3-star cards, you just roll over most of the NPCs. I don't know. Gilly, do you have thoughts on it?
Like I actually have to agree with Adagio. Like the rules are pretty much what make the NPCs hard. I mean, you can't really change what they have in their hands because you already expect it.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, the regional rules are pretty awesome. I mean, sometimes they are in our favor. Sometimes they're just completely
Yeah.
insane.
I'll tell you, the regional rules for facing players annoys the hell out of me.
Oh yeah.
I think they need one neutral zone. They can do, all the rules they want in other places, but have one neutral zone. I tried to do a Triple Triad tournament, and I had to say what the rules of that tournament were the day up, because I had to find, a place with the right regional rules to actually play. But I don't know. Regional, and some of the NPCs don't even use the regional rules now. I think like Rowena, she doesn't even. She's just random. She doesn't even care. But I don't know. That's just one thing they're going to say is going to be addressed. The other thing that they said is that they are going to start hopefully implementing a new pack, a platinum pack. And so, depending on your placement, maybe in the tournament, you'll have a chance to get those rare tournament cards with a pack. But then again, does that really help the situation? People are, okay, well, not only 3 cheaters will win, 20 cheaters could win, right? I don't know. And then, like, I still don't have 2 of the cards from the packs, and I've gained at least 250,000 MGP. And all of them went towards packs, and I'm still grinding on packs to get more cards. So, I'm not a big fan of it. What do you guys think about the packs, Adagio? Do you think that would be a good idea? Would that kind of deter people and give them less incentive to actually cheat in the tournament?
I think it's a good way to get, say, like, because the lightning card, I don't know if that's ever going to come back in the tournament. And, of course, if you're a collector, you want to get all the cards. And, yeah, I think it's a good idea so that people that, until they fix the rules, they need to have a second way of getting the tournament cards. Because, I mean, why reward the cheaters and not the people that are actually playing the games?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on how they implement it. Are they going to give it to just the top 20 people or top people over a certain point threshold? Like, if you get over this certain point threshold, and then after you do that, you're like, well, why even try? I just get some friends together and make sure we all get over the point threshold and we're done.
Yeah.
So I think the tournament, the way it is just going to be broken for at least until Heavensward. I can't imagine like a good fix coming out for it just because they don't have time for it.
Yeah, they have too much on their plate right now.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what the post said. It's a long post, and I would read it out, but that would probably take an hour.
I mean, the only other thing I think they could do is like a bracket kind of style, but that'd be really hard with getting all the people in the tournament timing-wise, so I really don't think that's like possible.
A lot of people have ideas for brackets and getting that stuff to work, but it takes a lot of programming. It's not just, let me throw a duty finder for Triple Triad up and it's done. You have to program that duty finder proper, and they're looking into that. They know that the players want random matches with random players because that's how you don't cheat, right? You can't choose your opponent, then how do you cheat?
Yeah, exactly.
But they don't have the resources to put towards it right now. So they're going to try to make it to where people are less encouraged to cheat, I guess. But they're not going to really fix anything until Heavensward. At least that's from what I'm getting from the post. And while I'm going to shed tears and be depressed about it for at least for the next 4 months, I think I'll get over it. Maybe I'll cheese a few tournaments and try to get the cards. I don't know. But it's okay. I'm at 70 cards. There's only, I think, it looks like there's 3 or 4 cards from the actual tournament. And the rest of them are earned through achievements and everything else, so it's not that big of a deal. And getting those cards doesn't really help you. It just, it's shiny. You're like, look, I got the card. But then you just look like a cheater too, so. Alright, so that's my little part on Triple Triad. I got it out of the way. We're done with it. I really want to get into horror stories now. Every week, I go through tons of posts on Reddit, and I don't know if I just like discussing things or what have it, but sometimes one of those posts gain traction and people put some interesting stuff up there about it. One of them was the horror stories. So before I even jump into it, Gilly, do you have a horror story with your static or any of your statics where it's just like, I can't believe this actually happened?
We've had a couple like 8%, 1% wipes. I think the best horror story I've ever had was when we were doing turn 5 progression. The funniest thing was we had a tank who was basically trying to suggest how to dive or how to dodge dive bombs or even, ways to get past dive bombs. So what he suggested was hey, let's all stand in a Neuralink. Maybe if we take less damage, we won't get blown away. Sure enough, we all try it and we get blown into the wall. I'm just like, that was such the dumbest idea you ever thought of.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many times where like I'll be playing with other players and they just suggest like when I started T9, Mario Kart was the thing. But do you guys do Mario Kart for T9?
Yeah,
Yes, we
do Mario
do.
Kart.
I've never done Mario Kart for it. Every time I tried, we instantly wipe. And I don't know if it's just because people can't comprehend that stuff, but Jesus Christ. Like, we never got in clean Mario Kart. So we went to 332, and right after that, it was perfect. Every single
Yeah.
attempt that we tried, it was 332. Gosh. But I've heard of some other crazy, just strategies on bosses, and I just try it a couple of times and eventually leave the group because they're insistent to do it. I'm like, I don't know if I can waste my time anymore on it. What about you, Adagio? Did you have any like really bad stories where you just had a player that was in your static or something that just you wanted to throw him out the window?
Not really. But I mean, I wasn't really in a static much. In first coil, I actually PF'd my first coil days all the way through P4 or T4. Because I didn't have a group to run with, and I actually didn't even get into a group until I started doing second coil. And last group I was with was pretty good, but they ended up just breaking up for random stuff. So that's when I got with my current static with Gilly and them. And I honestly can't say that we've had too many horror stories. We keep it pretty light and pretty good. So not too many horror stories so far.
I've worked my ass off to keep a static that's light and fun. I don't know why it's so difficult to find people who don't throw like a fit every time you wipe, but I've worked really hard on that. And congratulations, by the way, on you guys clearing T13. You guys did that like a week or two ago, right?
Yep,
we
2
did
weeks.
the first one 2 weeks ago, and then we did it this week too.
Yeah, my group is hoping to do it this coming week, but we'll see how all that stuff works out. I gotta get this off the screen. That document makes me too white. Alright. So, I'm gonna read this story. I got 4 stories to share, and I thought were kind of interesting while reading over them. This was from Reddit user Shurasta. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I'll post it later, and you guys can tell me if I was wrong on that or not. You know what? Let me post it in chat right now. Maybe you guys can pronounce this a little bit better. Alright. Shurasta. Maybe. I don't know. Alright, so for his horror story, this is exact quotes for his story. I had several such stories, but this one takes the cake. So our static back in second binding coil recently reorganized and picked up this new tank, let's call him Bob. We round out our team and organize our first raid as a new group, making it dead certain everyone knows the time. We've had many scheduling issues before, and everyone is free. So the appointed time rolls around, and we see that everyone is online a good 10 minutes before we start. Looking good, leader starts inviting people to the party. But what's this? Bob is in the naval, fighting Titan. What? Why? We start asking him in a link shell if he knew it was raid time and ask him to get out. No reply. 45 minutes pass with no reply from him at all. Finally, he gets out right as we're on the verge of finding a replacement. Sorry, didn't read the link shell chat. Was busy. Okay, fine. Whatever. Let's just go. Some weeks pass without too much of a further incident, though Bob is frequently late to raids, always the last one added to the party, and always takes about good 5-10 minutes after that to prepare for the raid. I suppose he never saw the value in being prepared for things. Then another time he doesn't show up at all for raids. We grab a replacement, go, then he logs on and asks why we didn't wait. We ask him why he didn't show up, and he doesn't give a straight answer. Eventually we reach T19 practice status, and everyone gets super hyped to down it. We even start a group making improp groups, not a full static, for practice. We invite him to several, but he never accepts, with no excuse whatsoever other than he doesn't want to. Okay, I guess that's impromptu anyways. He's not certainly obliged to do it. So here we go, another night. We roll into coil. Everyone's online 10 minutes early. Great, let's beat T9. Wait, Bob just logged out. No warning, nothing. Okay, we wait. He doesn't log back in. Grab a replacement. Let's go. We don't hear from him for a few days. We can't even schedule an next raid day. When he eventually signs on Sunday, we ask him where he went. He said, "I had to do laundry." Okay, so seriously, really? No, Bob is not some kid with errands to run. His parents are his parents mad. He's a grown-ass man with wife and kids who should be capable of planning his own schedule. We ask him while laughing at this ridiculous excuse why his laundry couldn't wait, and he explodes on us out of nowhere. He says we should have known he wouldn't be there for the raids because he changed his search info. How often do you guys look at your search info? Just curious.
Never.
Yeah, I forget it exists. He didn't mention a word of it to the link shell or Tails or anything. No, that would be too easy. He says we don't know what it's like for our kids to be completely out of clean clothes, and that he can't let, as a parent, let that happen. True. That is the kind of what kind of negligent parent are you, where your situation you can't have your kids literally have any clothes, clean clothes. Then he goes off on us about how he feels the static doesn't care about individual members' lives, and rating comes first, and that members are just tools for rating. This could not be further from the truth. We have frequently canceled and postponed raids to fit everyone's schedule. The reason we never reschedule for Bob is because he never gives us advance notice. He's just poof gone. We tell him as much. He claims we're being inconsiderate of him. When we tell him he's being inconsiderate of us, the 7 real people he has blown off time and time again, he starts raging on us and making a lot of personal callouts, and none of them have anything to do with the issue at hand. After we let him vent a bit, we calmly tell him his behavior is unacceptable, and before we kick him, he leaves the link shell on his own accord. So that's the first horror story. So, have you guys ever had a player just ridiculously just never show up for your raids?
I can name off a couple.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's ridiculous. It sounds like somebody who just has issues. I will tell you, I have had raid members in the past who, when we were looking for final coil people, and one of the, we were trying to find bards. It was hard to find bards for a while. They all switched to ninjas.
Yep.
But we found a bard, and the guy was fine. He was good, and he just doesn't show up. One night I send him like a message and everything, and he eventually gets on an hour later. He's like, "Hey guys," he like gets in the TeamSpeak and everything, and we have his replacement in there, and we're talking to his replacement as we're playing. And it turns into kind of an awkward situation. It's like, "Where were you?" He's like, "Oh, it's my birthday, and there was a stripper, and I got drunk." I was like, "All right, that's fine." Next day, he doesn't show up, and we just have to kick him out. I mean, if people don't show up, I mean, what can you do?
Yeah.
Gotta have people there. Alright, so let me jump into this next one, which is about the same length. This guy is called Uggs Are Ugly. That's his username. So, this is what he said. I had a static that I built from the ground up with one of my first friends in the game when I came back from hiatus. I literally took people who were about level 20 or less when I found them, including a real-life friend, helped them level, then geared them up, and I taught them coils up to T9, which was our next target, and even got some friends outside to clear some of those coils with them, and teach them the roles because I wasn't too familiar with them. Things were going well. However, aforementioned real-life friend, we'll call her Jane, had been a nuisance and there. But it really got bad a couple of months ago. I knew that Jane did not like the other girls, but I figured our backup healer would be no problem since we had another girl in the group who we'll call Mary. And Jane got along with Mary just fine. When I learned Jane did not like the other girls, she was perceived as a threat to her being the center of attention, or my attention at least. Okay, so Jane began causing trouble by openly undermining my authority at first, which I quickly smashed. Then she claimed I was a control freak because apparently if she doesn't get any sort of leadership control, then I must be a control freak. Apparently me being a control freak was my rule, and that people don't go switching roles for every raid until we learn our mains. So basically he wanted to keep everyone as their current role until they clear something. and just everyone practice that role. That seems fair enough to me. I don't think that's a lot to ask of the static. She was a warrior for our static, yet she kept learning various fights on roles other than her warrior outside of our raid time. So when it came time for the static to raid, she didn't know her role as a warrior, but she wanted to either make someone sit while she went in as a healer or a DPS, or expect us to bring in an outside tank. Okay, so back to Hildegard. I'm not sure who Hildegard is, but we'll go back to that. She was our backup healer, and honestly, she was better than our main white mage. Our main white mage went AWOL, so she stepped up. She also filled any role I needed her besides tank if both healers happened to be around. A true team player. English was not her first language, so I took extra care to explain things to her, as I know what it's like not to be great at a language as people that are around me. He's a non-native speaker. Or that's what he put in his parentheses. So we really clicked, became close friends, and I liked hanging around her because she wasn't loud, obnoxious, dramatic like Jane. So this is getting into kind of a love story here, just to let you know. Was starting to become, or like Jane was starting to become. Jane got angry about this. She confronted me, saying I was trying to replace her and all sorts of other shit would forth from her mouth. Then, out of nowhere, a aforementioned first friend in the game, we'll call James, who never actually liked Jane but got along with her, was suddenly spewing the same shit as she was. He ended up leaving the static and the FC, and he wanted me to invite him back to prove my friendship. So I didn't. Okay? I don't play those games. Jane soon follows suit because her vanity was note-sated and it's not sated. Okay, not sated. Maybe I don't know how to say that. Okay. And because I choose not to marry her in-game, which she thought was a big deal, I just wanted the items, not someone that would take it seriously. In the end, they ended up going behind my back when I was at work. Neither were employed, and convincing the rest of my static, except for Hildegard, I guess that's his friend, to join them. She had convinced them I abused her in real life, despite the fact that we lived in 2 separate states since she moved a year before we even started playing the game. So my static was no more as far as I was concerned, but it doesn't end there. Apparently she felt the need to harass Hildegard when I wasn't around. We reported both of them for harassment, and there's nothing to be done about it. In the end, we decided to just go to another server. She happened to have an ult on away from them. So, her friend, or his friend, told everyone that he abused her and harassed them until they left the server.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really crazy.
That's absolutely ridiculous. So, do you guys have, does Jen get angry with other girls in your static?
No, there's 2 of them. It's
yeah.
just, we have Lily and then we also have Jen, and they get along pretty well.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. I mean, usually it's not a problem. The only time it becomes an issue is when you get the kind of girls that are in the raid that you know are looking for attention.
Oh, yeah.
Then other girls start to hate those girls because they don't want to deal with people who are attention whores. But look, there's Kerr. She'll agree with me on that. She popped out real quick. We've had a couple of issues with that too in our group, but we don't have that issue anymore because Kerr's the only girl in our group right now. Yeah, that wasn't intentional, but yeah. We had 2 total, yeah, and then I'm not going to say her name, but she went crazy on us, so she had to leave. And hopefully she's not watching this, because I don't want to deal with that. And then we had another one who wasn't crazy. She was kind of nice, but I think she had to go back to her static. And then we had one more, but I can't remember, but that had to get cycled out too. Oh, she said something mean. So she was kicked. No, I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was just someone kind of being a little bit rude. Oh no, she was telling Kerr she didn't know how to heal. That's what happened. So it doesn't really work out when you tell the other healer that's been in the static since it started that she doesn't know how to heal. Alright, so this one is a little bit shorter. This is a drama one. So this guy was saying that he had someone that was kind of a greedy player and called out other players and yelled at them when they didn't do things right. He was basically a bigot and a filthy human and a waste of existence, really. The best part is when I finally got sick of his bullshit and left the FC and server since it was far too small, only having one real raiding guild at the time. My idiot fiancée decides to stay and turns into his sexting slave. She even went as far as offering to dude sex out of some idiotic need for more attention, because spending all day with me apparently wasn't enough. His ex went as far as to reveal he was a convicted rapist on Megan's list. Needless to say, thanks to the most pathetic excuse of a human I can think of, lots of lost time came from that server. And this is, by the way, sorry for the language, this guy has lots of language. Ditched the bitch, got rid of the static, and kept trucking. The best part was punching him in the face at their FC meet and greet when I got an old friend to give me the details. Fortune had it, it wasn't too much more than an hour's drive to do so. Okay, so it's kind of hard for me to think that one's real, but let's just say it is. So the guy basically had his fiance cheat on him over the internet with another player, and then convict him, or with someone who was a convicted rapist, and then eventually he was able to go and punch him in the face. So that's the short story of that. This guy, that was Summoner Rin, by the way. It's ridiculous.
Yes, I can sadly believe that actually happened.
No, I've heard of stuff kind of like that, where people are crazy, and when they get stuck and they're only doing this MMO all day, sometimes some things get a little bit loose, and they don't take reality too seriously. Okay, so this is the last one I got. And I put this one in here just because it ended really nicely and it was kind of unexpected. So this is from Lane, and this was the top one that was in that thread. I started playing the game when it first came out, but had to quit right after 2.1 because of work study reasons. When I came back, I had no FC, no static, no nothing. One day, I joined a party finder group for Garuda X, a learning party at that. I had watched videos and all, everyone was eager to learn and help. We cleared it on the second try. Needless to say, it was a blast, and we used the same team to clear Titan and Ifrit. It would even eventually become my static to this day. Everyone was really cool in the static, but we had a clear-cut leader, the scholar I'll just call David. David was always the one organizing stuff. He was the one setting up the TeamSpeak server, calling the shots in coil, etc. All the while, he was really passionate about it. He'd get angry and sad and generally happy based on the outcome of the raid. Just recently, we finally managed to clear T13. It was really awesome. Everyone was screaming, singing, everyone but David, who didn't say anything. He immediately logged off of TeamSpeak and left the game. We guessed that he was too emotional and didn't want to give us a hard time. The next day, David wasn't on. Neither the day following it. We started to get preoccupied, but there was nothing we could really do, and we didn't have any way to contact him outside of the game. 5 days had gone by, and we were starting to get really worried about the future of our group, but mostly for David's well-being. It was when we saw him log onto the TeamSpeak server, we were all excited and started bombarding him with questions, except it wasn't him, it was a female voice. She told us she was only checking the program and that she didn't really know what it did. We told her we were friends with David, and she got happy, mentioning he used to love playing Final Fantasy XIV above all else. What do you mean, used to? Did something happen to David, we asked? Well, David passed away over a year ago on August 23rd, 2013. He was really excited to play the second version of the game, but sadly he died in a car crash on the way back from the store. So, that was a horror story.
Dang.
They were playing with a ghost for a year. I thought that was neat because I was expecting something else when
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no, did something bad? Oh, it's just a story. Okay. Well, that's all the static horror stories I got. Well, there's more of them on that thread, and I'll post that up later if anyone wants to go back and read on them. There's a lot of interesting ones on there. And if you guys in the chat have any kind of horror stories, and you want to send them to me, I would love to read these things. I'd love drama and reading them on stream. It's great. But going off of that, I want to get into our discussion. I just figured that would be kind of a neat little feature that we could have here is to read static stories. And I want to talk about in-game content. Everything Final Fantasy has for in-game content. And there's a lot of stuff out there, although a lot of us don't think about it anymore because we've done it already and we don't go back to it. So, just real quick, Adagio, what's your general thoughts? Just sum up your thoughts on the in-game content for Final Fantasy XIV.
I think that there is a very decent amount of it. We got the whole pony farm thing going on now that they added the Captain Planet pony, and we got card drops. So there's a lot more reason to go back and do all this in-game content, all the harder primals, all the EX primals, whereas we didn't have that back before the patch. Like before the patch, you got through the hard mode primals and that was it. You did it one time and you were done. But now that they've added more incentive to go back, I mean, it's just about every night this week. I think that we've gotten a pony farm going or something. So yeah, we've been rocking the in-game content pretty hard recently. So I think there's enough of it.
Yeah, Gilly, what do you think?
I think there's not enough, to be my opinion.
Completely opposite.
Yeah. I mean, Final Coil is awesome, but now that it's done, what else is there? I mean, we could do Savage, but that's still second coil.
Yeah. It's still recycle of the same content, just with different mechanics to it. You don't get a lot of rewards out of it. Which is one of the reasons I'm kind of worried about the expansion and them offering a normal mode and a hard mode. It's just, recycling the content. And WoW's gotten so bad with that, they have 4 versions of each raid. So, I don't know. So, if you were a casual gamer, do you think that this game is, like, perfect for in-game content? Gilly?
Yeah. I would agree with that statement, actually.
I honestly think that this is, without a doubt, one of the best games for casual MMO players. So, Adagio, what about you? Are you a casual player or are you a hardcore player?
Well, I'm more casual than I would like to be, just because of the wife and kids and real life obligations.
Yeah.
That's pushed my raid schedule and everything to where it is now. Basically, I'm playing from like 11 to 2 a.m. every night, and I have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to go to work. So I guess I'm hardcore in that way, but I mean, I'm only getting in like 3.5, 4 hours a night. So one group of people consider me hardcore, and then the next group would probably consider me casual because I don't put in more time. But
your lifestyle is definitely hardcore, if nothing else.
Well, I feel that if I want to get in and do this stuff, I want to play the game and enjoy my time, then I got to make time.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. And I mean, to me, I'm really casual. I just finished getting my Nexus, so. I haven't been grinding on that at all. But then again, that's because my main position in raids changed a lot, so it didn't really matter to me. I went from warrior to paladin, and I'm going to go to machinist when it comes out, so what's the point? Well, if you're a hardcore player, I would honestly say the content here is not that great for you.
Yeah.
If you're really hardcore, I mean, you beat the stuff, and then there's not a lot left to go. But then, how do you make in-game content for a hardcore player? Do you have any ideas, Gilly? How would you make it interesting for someone who's really hardcore into the game besides just adding hard grinds?
Probably give us something to distract us. Like, there's Final Coil, and then we're going to be getting Alexander, and then we're going to get some more primals, but they should also integrate something for people who want to achieve beyond, Because, I mean, Savage is all right, but people are already clearing that. But it's, like I said, it's still previous content, just with a harder difficulty.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to get... I can't think of a good idea besides just making the in-game fights, really difficult. But they're not. I know they're not going in that direction. They're going to make them difficult, but apparently in the normal mode it's going to be a little bit easier than it is right now, and the hard mode is going to be harder than it is right now. But, after you beat the story and you beat the last boss in normal mode, how inspired are you to go through it all again on a harder difficulty? Adagio, what do you think for hardcore players? How would you make the game more enticing for hardcore players?
Uh, Honestly, that's pretty hard because the hardcore players, I don't know why, but they like the really huge raid groups. They like to get the 40-man T group together, and
Yeah.
they like to get all that, and they like to, get all that stuff together. I don't think that would work in Final Fantasy's format.
Hmm.
So, honestly, the only thing you can really do is make mechanics harder, and I think that they're decently hard as is. I don't really know how you'd make it more catered toward hardcore, like actual hardcore players.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually recently started seeing groups from different servers actually doing 7-man Final Coil, and that seems pretty crazy. So,
Yeah, no, they're practicing hard. I was watching Zeno's channel the other day, and he was doing a 7-man clear for T13. And he was telling me how, every time, I don't know if you guys do this, but his group in T10 to T12 does nothing but Stordo for their paladin. They don't do any shield off or anything like
yep,
that.
seen that actually.
And that seems crazy to me. But then again, like I'm not that optimized. Our group isn't just. Our group is great. I think our group is wonderful at learning and getting through content. But we're just not at that point to where we could go in and do everything with the lowest amount of health possible and the highest DPS. And then again, to me, I don't know if I need to do that. I'm not. If there was some sort of leaderboard for how fast you could clear content, that could be kind of cool, right? So then you can compete with other people and say, hey, my group clears T13 at 11 minutes.
Yeah, that's actually something like that would be nice. Like if they had a timer and see for people who can actually get on like a leaderboard
Hmm.
to see who can clear faster and stuff. Another thing that they could probably do is like, they put the old dungeons, like let's say AK, or pretty much you don't need to do anything for Amdapur Keep anymore. Have it so you can actually have a person solo it and see who can actually like beat it.
Yeah.
Give us something challenging versus,
Like challenge
here's
mode.
here's your end game and you're done.
Yeah. I mean, that would be. I think that's actually not a bad idea, and I think actually introducing not 40-man. 40-man is ridiculous. I don't know if I could ever do 40-man because getting all those 40 people together to concentrate for 3 hours on raid content is really difficult.
Yeah. Not to mention like the amount of, raid leaders you have and patience you have to have with 40 people.
Did either of you guys play EverQuest when it came out?
No.
Nope.
It was one of those MMOs where they had raids that were hundreds of people. And half of the raid was tanks just sitting there attacking stuff, so they would have the proper aggro so people wouldn't pull off of them. And then everyone else would attack. I mean, it was ridiculous how much you had to organize for those fights. But I would say, that was one of the only MMOs out. There was a handful of them, but in that category of 3D, I think that was one of the only ones. So it could draw people to do that stuff. Now, if they put it in this game, they're like, why do I even try this? Let's just go to a different game. I do think if they made hard 25-man content, that would be a next step up because that's hard to keep 24 people in, all together trying to focus on one thing. But they seemed kind of away from that last time I was reading stuff from Yoshida. They didn't seem like they were too interested in making 24-man content difficult.
I don't know. World of Darkness seems to be pretty hard.
I guess it depends on who you run with, right? I mean, geez, yeah, I've gone in there and then dying on the first boss. I'm just like, do I want to just leave now? Would it be faster if I just go ahead and leave and deal with this for the next hour or two?
Yeah, there's late night Monday night runs. Those are some brutal ones.
Actually, I try to get my tower clears right at reset just because everybody's rushing in and trying to beat it.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I don't know. Like, I don't even focus. The only thing I was doing for tower was for the Onion Knight, and I got him, so I'm done. Well, I don't even care anymore.
Oh, man. Lucky.
Yeah, it felt lucky. All right, so one of the categories I want to talk about with in-game content is primals. Where do primals lie within Final Fantasy's content? As in, I know they're awesome to go back and do, and Titan is one of those that you can just go back and do, and you just love doing it because it's, you know it, and it's just a dance that you do, and it's fun to see people fall off the side. Do you think, how essential are primals to in-game content right now? And Gilly?
Right now, they're just mainly just for aesthetics as far as the
Hmm.
ponies. I mean, back then when the accessories actually meant something, yeah, that helped. And then when they dropped those new weapons for the tokens, those actually meant something too.
Yeah.
But kind of right now, they're just vanity, in my opinion.
I mean, do you think they should have more primal content than they do, or are they right at the exact level they need to have? Should they have like 3 current primals every single time they release a major patch?
Yeah, I'm actually praying that they give us like an extreme primal or something,
Oh yeah,
or not
God, I
even
hope so.
extreme or like hardcore or something, or savage primals. That would be actually pretty
They need to
good.
do Odin extreme. I just
Yeah,
let it happen.
Odin was a lot harder at FanFest than what it is right now.
You just no one knew it, and they were just going in there with random people and bashing their heads into it. Although after he figured it out, it was a DPS race, and that's all it really was. But and just making sure the 3 towers didn't stack, and the heals were intense in that fight too.
Silences had to go out, stuff like
Yeah.
that too.
So I mean, I think I love the primals because it's just something you can jump into and do. And Shiva is my favorite fight to tank, because the tank does a lot of stuff. They have to know, okay, this move it's Glacier Bash. I have to be behind the boss and let it go towards no one at all. Oh, it's the sword. I have to be on the party. So you just have to pay attention the entire time, and you can wipe the party just by one little slip up. But tanks usually have that kind of potential to wipe the entire party. But I don't know. It just feels fun to tank. Like Titan, you dodge a few things, but really you're just sitting on the edge the entire
Yep.
time.
Yeah, I agree with the Shiva because there's actually a lot of repositioning Shiva as a tank. You have to be closer to the center for the sword in case she does the push back, and you have to be closer to the wall for the bow for when she does that on a team member. So there's a lot of repositioning and stuff for Shiva.
Yeah, and then people complain in the other roles that it's boring because it's the same thing over and over again. Yeah, it's the same thing over and over again, right? I mean, that's every single fight though.
Yeah.
You do the same mechanics, people just kind of get bored of it. Hey, Evolved, how you doing, man? But I don't know. I just think that um, I really wish there was just more content with primals that we could grab. Right now, no one cares about it unless if you want to get a 115 weapon easier than T9, then you go into Shiva. But no one cares about Odin. When's the last time you guys tried to get a group together for Odin?
We actually
Uh,
did Odin last week,
Oh,
didn't we?
really?
yeah,
Yeah.
just to clear.
Yeah. I don't know. I wish there was, and also the fight with the main story quest. Why didn't they give more incentive to just repeat that? It's like you're done with it now. No one wants to go back, and
Yeah.
it's hard to find a group. If you're late on the main story quest, you have to get your static to help you with it.
Hmm.
I actually want to see more fights like the Chrysalis. Like that fight was awesome.
I
Yeah,
thought it
that
was
was a
pretty
lot
fun.
of fun.
And it just sucks that they just completely made it useless after you were done with it the first time. But all right, so let's go into a little bit more grindy stuff. What about Zodiac for in game? What do you guys? What's your opinions on like the Zodiac stuff? Like I personally,
Uh,
I can't stand it. I'm glad it's there for people who wanna, if they just want to put the time into it, grind it, and get that gear, even if they don't have the opportunity to get the right drop or something. It's a nice option to have. But Jesus, I can't grind. I can't. That's why I don't do any kind of crafting. Adagio, what do you think about it, man?
Dungeon Atma.
Dungeon.
That's
Screw it. Yeah, I'm at
all I
that
have to
point.
say is Dungeon Atma. That was the worst stage ever. I don't
I
know
was
how
good
many
with
times.
I was good with light. Like I just finished that, but going in and
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, I have to get a random drop, like from Tonberry, get a Tonberry drop or something." I'm
Hmm.
like, I don't want to do this.
No,
Uh,
I agree. I'm glad that it's there. It gives people that are clearing content early on in the month something to work towards, something to do for the, if you don't burn through it in like the first 2 days. Like I don't know how there's people on Reddit burn through this relic
yeah,
steps in the
2
first
days.
2 days, but yeah, it gives you something to do once you get through the content and the storyline. But yeah, some of those steps are pretty hardcore.
Yeah. What about you, Gilly?
To be honest, I started my steps to Zeta soon. Me and Jen started this like 3 weeks ago. We were on our second book, and now we're just farming the dungeon drops. So it's not too bad, but for a person that's a stat whore and like loves putting down numbers, yeah, that's the reason why I'm doing it, is so I can get the better optimized stats on my weapon and stuff. So
Well,
I
for
like it,
me,
but it's so easy.
yeah. Well, for me, it's just like, why? I could put the work into doing it, or I can just use the stuff that's already works for me. I mean, it's not going to stop me from clearing content. It's just not going to. I'm
Yeah.
not going to clear it faster. So I don't know. I'm not inspired to do it. If I was on my machinist, I'm sure I would be.
Yeah. Also, like, I think the little, like, quote unquote, what I saw in the forums was like Yoshi P was saying something about those who have the Zeta in 3.0 will have the upper hand compared to other people who just have Dreadworm and stuff. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're going to do that because otherwise players are going to feel gypped, right? They did all this work and now it's just in the garbage. They're not going to want to do the next set because once it gets near the next expansion, what's the point in it? I mean, it's the best in slot weapon, but you know, if you don't care for being best in slot and like top of the game doing max DPS and you just want to clear the content, which is actually I would say is 90% of the players don't care to be the top, warrior, the most DPS warrior that you have out there, or the most DPS bard, but I don't know. It's good for the 10%. Okay, so then we get into the real in-game content, which I think is Binding Coil. So Binding Coil, I think was absolutely amazing but it sucks that it's just 4 bosses, but it's 4 really well done bosses usually. The first set was awesome, then the second set was pretty good, and the third set a lot of people are kind of upset with it because they feel they're too good now. All right, the mechanics are familiar and it's not hard. They beat it in 4 days. Raid in Japan beat it in 4 days. So Adagio, when going into Binding Coil, what in its role in the game, rate it quality-wise, what do you think it is out of 10?
As far as everything else in the game, I think it's probably a strong 8, 8.5, maybe even a 9. I think they did really well with the Binding Coil. It's some of the best content in the game, and the storyline, and especially the final coil, was amazing. It sucks that they do have the 1 week lockout, but I understand why, because of the whole gear. Don't want people, getting all geared out in the first week. But yeah, I think overall it's a really good content. It's nice hard fights for your group to learn, and unfortunately, once your group does learn it, it seems it gets one-shotted pretty easily. So I don't really know if there's a way to work around that in Alexander, but I guess that's where we're at now.
If they add more RNG elements to it, then I guess that's a possibility. But I agree that it sucks. Like when we cleared T11 and T12, I think we've barely ever wipe on it anymore. It's just like we go through, and if someone just stops paying attention for a second, we wipe. But we know what to do, and we usually one-shot every single fight in final coil. Now at least, and I think T9 is still fun to go back with people who haven't cleared it and try to get them through it because it's still a challenge. And but I would say I would agree that it's probably about like an 8 to 9. Although some people are a little bit unhappy with it, but there's not much you can do. I mean, you can add new. I'm sure. Hopefully in Heaven's Word they'll have more mechanics besides dive bombs, right? I guess we'll just see how that works out. Gilly, what do you think about Binding Coil?
It's pretty good for what it is right now. Yeah, it's pretty good. The one thing I would like to add though is I just want to see new monsters, not just reskins. That's the one thing I got tired of. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, here's Rafflesia. Oh, I fought this thing back in what was it? Tamtara or some shit like that. What was it? Or even the Coral or I'm Do Good. You fought that in the Corals, and then you had the Hydras. And I just want to see something new and refreshing.
Yeah.
Let us fight something like Gaius again, or something like Praetorium.
Oh gosh, I hope so. I really would like a lot more models. I don't know how many they're bringing with Heaven's Ward, but I'm hoping it's a good amount. And I hope that when they do a patch, they think, all right, well, let's give 4 bosses with 4 unique models. But I don't know how difficult that is because I'm not a programmer, but I would agree that would be amazing instead of just going in and seeing the exact same Hydra. Turn 11 and the second boss of World of Darkness, pretty much on the same level, right?
Yeah. That's why when I saw Bahamut for T13, I was really, really impressed. I was like, that's something new. I want to be there. And this was when we barely started. We had one day of rating T10. I'm like, oh, damn.
When do we get to do that?
Then let's see, then you have Twin Tanya they reintroduced into T13 as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe that was intentional. They just wanted to bring it back and just kind of say, hey, this was the first one you beat. Now it's a part of the last one. So
more Twin Tanyas.
Yeah. I do agree with you. I'm excited. I hope they make a Alec that resembles the little fluffy guy that's in that what is it? The benchmark video that is turning the corner. Is that little furry guy with little skinny arms? Is a big. I don't know.
Mm.
But that would be fun just to see them do something like that because I like the idea. Moogle, King Moogle was cool even though it was a rehashed model, but you know they made it cool. They gave it an original song and everything. But anyways, going off on that tangent. So I wanted to get back into 24-man real quick and its whole role into the in-game content. With 24-man, like you guys said, it can be difficult depending on the group that you guys have, right?
Mm.
But I mean, 24-man. Do you guys agree that if they put in like a harder 24-man, that would be worth something to do? Not something that you would just queue up for, but if they had a 24-man where you had to get 24 like FC members, 3 static groups to get together and actually clear it. I mean, it's something that was a real challenge. Would that be something that you guys would be interested in?
Yeah, depending on because if you think about it, Exodus is not a big server though. It's just trying to find the right 24 people. Well, the 3 raid groups that can actually do it.
Yeah, I mean that's difficult. But if you had like, how many? Is your FC pretty big? How many people do you have in your FC? Do you have more than just 1 static or?
We have 47 people. I mean, but we only have 1 actual full, final coil raid group.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then we have a couple of members that are actually kind of just doing their own static too as well. And I fill in every now and then too.
Yeah. It seems like we have kind of a mixed audience too. Some people are saying that they would love 24-man, and some people say that's just too hard. There's no reason to put it in there. But a difficult 24-man, I think it would encourage FCs to grow bigger. And, I mean, we have the 1 big FC on our server, and everyone else is kind of like a moderate FC, right?
Yep. Fairy Tale will take the first.
Yeah.
World first.
Yeah, world first of the 24-man. But, I think that it would be something to encourage FCs to grow bigger. More than airships are going to make FCs explode, I'm sure. It's going to be so much fun. Okay, so now the current role of the 24-man raids are just easy content for people to get gear, quick and easy that can't get into the harder content. It don't have, it's like what's the right word for it? It's an easy, if you ever played WoW, it's like Raid Finder, the lowest, weakest, easiest version of the raids, and you just clear it mindlessly to get gear. I mean, at first when 24-man World of Darkness came out, admittedly that was difficult because you had to find 24 people who didn't want to just AFK through it. So do you guys think that element has to stay within the game for people to be, like, if they removed the easy 24-man, would you guys be upset?
No, not at all.
No.
To be honest, it'll keep people on their toes, and you can tell they need to add more wiping mechanics, like instant wiping mechanics in the 24-man. If they do another like Circus Tower and stuff.
I don't know if that Doom seems to take out a lot of people on the first boss in World of Darkness.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That's because people are AFK half the time.
And there's bots. Gosh, I don't know if I've ever done one without a bot in the group. Like we saw one the other day, and it just literally just spun in circles the entire time. I don't know what kind of AI it had, but it just spun in circles during every single raid attempt, and it was obvious, and we booted it out. But it's goofy.
There's a couple times I was a baddie. I actually set my character to follow like a random melee.
Oh yeah.
And we got all the way to the end of Circus Tower. And then I guess one of the white mages called me. I was like, wow, way to be on the very last of the threat list. I'm like, oh. Then I just jumped straight up to number 2 just because I was on my monk.
Yeah, I got kicked out like within 3 minutes when I did that. They noticed it instantly, and they're just like, nope, get them out of the group. It sucks so much.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like World of Darkness goes, I usually see it as a nice way to gear out my alt classes. So, I mean, it's there for that at least.
Yeah. Well, let's take one question here. What if you put turn 10 213 and has 3 static doing raid at the same time? If any team wipes, the whole alliance wipes. So you have 3 statics going at the exact same fight, and if 1 static wipes, all 3 wipes.
It'd be pretty interesting. You just basically kind of like in Labyrinth of the Ancients, where you had the three
Yeah.
dividing plats. If one person wiped, you had the big old Goliaths just smack everybody. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be really hard to coordinate.
Yeah, no. But then you'd have
then
to
it-
have three boss. Well, I mean, I think it would be interesting if you had one boss that would require three groups doing three separate sets of mechanics. And then if this side failed at that mechanic, it made it harder for the other two sides. But then again, you have to make three bosses for one fight, and that's a lot of work to put in for one thing.
Yeah, you
Here's
gotta
dive
imagine all the
bombs for
trolls
one.
in there too.
Yeah. Well, okay, so going on with more in-game content, what about four-man dungeons? Four-man dungeons, they're cool, they're interesting, they sometimes have nice music. Like Keeper Lake was, pleasant to go through and do your first couple of times, but then if you're farming it after your like 20th time, you're just tired of it, all right?
Yeah.
So four-man, and they don't provide much gear, but I guess who benefits from that? Who gets gear from the in-game four-mans? Most people get their gear from farming, getting, at least I think, from soldiery and World of Darkness and the ST stuff, style, nature, but who goes and gets gear from actual, I mean, it's just cosmetic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all cosmetics. I actually just use it for grind company sales just to keep my, steady flow of like mats or ventures or whatever I need.
Yeah, I wish they just introduced some like really difficult, like just maybe if they had extreme mode four-mans.
Give us an extreme arm veil.
Oh yeah,
Oh
we would all
God,
love
no.
that. Oh,
No,
that'd
no,
be so
no.
great. You go in there and then like the entire instance pulls on you.
Everything's Marlboros.
Yeah, instead of just getting that one little circle and then you have poison everywhere. Yeah, I'm sure that would be great. Oh gosh, yeah. No, I think if they added an extreme four-man, that would be interesting content, and not just give you gear that's like eye level 90, give you gear that's like maybe on par with what people are going into, or a chance at maybe the last boss gives a chance of a eye level, let's say 115 or 120 item. That would be kind of fun. I mean, you spend 40 minutes doing the dungeon anyways. I mean, if you do a primal, you do it one time for 10 minutes and you get items, right?
Yeah.
If you spend 40 minutes doing a hard dungeon, you should get the same level of gear. I don't know. That's my personal opinion. Adagio, what do you think about four-mans right now?
I've not run a four-man in at least 2 or 3 weeks. I used to do it for Poe farming, and now that my main is geared out, I don't ever run them anymore.
I haven't cat poetics in 3 or 4 weeks, at least. I don't know.
I really wish there was more incentive to do them, but yeah, just haven't done them in like 3 or 4 weeks because of that.
Yeah. Gilly, what do you think about them besides, do you think that they should just make them harder, or I'm guessing you kind of agree with me that they should be a little bit harder and they shouldn't just stay at the level they are.
Yeah, I mean, because let's put it this way: like, if a tank can speed run it and just pull the whole damn room, and then you just have two black mages nuking it and killing it within like minutes, it's not really considered hard.
I hate that. I would think that if you have, turn, final coil gear, you still would have to only pull 1 to 2 groups max, or if you do more than that, you die. Then that would be fun to me because then you actually have a challenge. But then again, it's going to drag out longer. But hopefully, there's a good reward at the end, right?
Yeah. Like T10's ads were the first time we went in, those things just wrecked us for a good 30 minutes. And then when we got into T11, it just got even worse because they split the group off.
Yeah. Oh gosh, T11 was so incredibly, the most difficult part was the ads and trying to figure out how to do that transmission properly. And I can't tell you how many times at first I lost aggro. I mean, even today, every once in a while I'll lose an aggro to a black mage killing the cube when I'm on him. And I get upset. I'm like, oh, it was lag or something. It wasn't me. No, really. It's just hard unless if you have the right combination starting off and you have a good black mage. He's going to pull off you just because of that damage, physical damage reduction. Which
I can actually attribute to that. I've had we used to sub a black mage in when we couldn't fill out our full group, and he used to pull that ad off me all the time. Just in like the first couple of seconds, that first proc he gets, I lose aggro. I'm like, ah.
And at first, I didn't realize I had the physical reduction. I just thought I sucked, and I was so upset about it. But just like, why am I losing aggro? I'm doing everything right. I don't know.
Can we add some discussion about loot? We waiting forever and never get it. Tokens.
Yeah, so tokens, they're
is-
going to
There you
change the
go.
system, right? I mean, they're adding in hopefully a new system in Heavensward that makes it to where you get loot a lot easier. So you don't do Final Coil for how long has it been now? 4 months? Is that right?
Yeah.
4 months in Final Coil, and you still don't have your T13 weapon, even though you cleared it almost every single week since it came out. That sucks, man. I do think that they should have some sort of token that builds up, and you can just buy a piece of coils. I mean, you don't get it a lot. You have to clear it like 4 times, and then you can buy a piece or something like that. But it would help you fill the last bits of loot that you haven't been able to get, or that just aren't dropping for you. What do you guys? So, Gilly, you say tokens, Adagio. What do you think they could improve with the loot system?
Yeah, I would say it'd have to be tokens too, because I think I don't even think our Dragoon ended up getting the spear from T9 after all the times we downed that, just because of the roll or the loot didn't come out right. So there definitely does need to be a way of something happen, because we've downed T9 I don't know how many times, and it's just
when he started raiding with us, he actually hasn't seen a single Dragoon drop. Like since we downed it, and when we got into Final Coil, he switched mains to Ninja. He didn't see Ninja loot, but we saw more Dragoon loot to another person who secondaried it.
We had our okay, so I have a warrior in my group that has farmed T9 for months and Shiva X. I don't think he has an axe from either one. They just don't drop for him. I don't know what's wrong with it, but it just doesn't drop when he does it. And we have a black mage who the first, I don't know, month or two got 0 loot from Final Coil. Then the last 2 raids, he got all the loot. So
sounds like a Dajio. Like we don't have a black mage in our group, and every chest we've opened is pretty much black mage loot. And Adagio's black mage is pretty much all dreadworms from head to toe, but no weapon.
My black mage is currently at 121, and I haven't even touched him in Poe or in Word of Darkness gear at all.
Yeah. And oh yeah, if you guys are on the Exodus server and you want to ball me, I'm right by the Aetherite in Mordona, so feel free. I don't really care. I got pictures blocking everybody right now, but so yeah, I mean, I hope they do change the loot system so you can actually build something up and not have to work your ass off and just hope that RNG works out for you, because that does suck. So going into Bard gear doesn't exist in Final Coil either, I don't think. But
we have 2 bards that have a lot of dreadworm stuff.
Jesus, see, I don't know how that stuff happens.
I could tell you that Bard gear definitely exists in World of Darkness, though.
I wish. Every single World of Darkness I go into, have to raid as bards looking for one item. I think it's the coat. Is that right?
I think so.
The bard chest, and
then they all drop as soon as it doesn't drop. Oh gosh.
I think there was a Reddit post earlier today that had 12 bards over the entire alliance.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't know how many groups I've gone in there where it's just 5 bards and a tank and 2 healers. But all right, so let's go into the next subject I have here, which is the main story quest for in-game content. So I think the main story quest is amazing for the work they put into it. They've definitely put a lot of work into it, but again, you can't replay Chrysalis at all. You can't a lot of main story quests. What do you do it once and you're done with it. Then you forget about it. You don't even know it exists anymore. But they do put a lot of work into it. They do a lot of voice acting. They do a lot of people who work in Old English. Gosh, I don't understand half the words they say sometimes. But I just roll with it. I'm like, yeah, I got it. But I think they do a pretty good job keeping the story intact and making it all kind of tie together. Adagio, what do you think? What are your thoughts on the main story?
I really like it. This is actually one of the first few MMOs where the story's pulled me in, and I've actually caught myself just reading every single text box that I come across, because I'm really enthralled with the story. And like other MMOs I've played, it wasn't even there. It's just clicking through text box. Don't care. Just want to get to level cap and gear out. And this game, I've definitely taken the time, read through the story, and I really like what they're doing with it. I like where it's going.
No, yeah, and I completely agree with that. I think that I can actually be a little bit more involved in this story, although every one of us is the Warrior of Light. It's still an MMO. It feels great. It's sad to see that a lot of people, when they have to speed run and they're like, I want to be the first one to level 50 machinist, they're like, skip, and they don't even know what the storyline is anymore. And then you have to go back And so, adding on to that, Praetorium and other end-game 8-mans that are, you just kind of easily go through, how many of you guys get upset when people watch the cutscenes?
We actually, our group
We
will
encourage
fight
it.
for your right to watch that.
Yeah.
If we're helping you clear out the turns that you haven't done or clear content you haven't done, like, y'all want me to skip? Like, no, it's your cutscene. You deserve to watch it, man. We'll wait
Yeah.
for you. So,
I
and
mean,
I mean, it's stupid that people try to sit there and force you. Oh, go watch it in your in room. It's like you're in the moment. You're in the time. You want to watch it there.
I completely agree with you. Completely. Gilly, what do you think about main story quests and how they've done it with this game so far?
To be honest, I haven't even paid attention to the story
Okay.
till recently.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I like when I was playing with a bunch of my friends back in our old FC. We were all just trying to race to 50, and I didn't have really much time to actually just sit there and watch cutscenes and read all of them. So, but it was so far from what I've seen, like Rip, Mombrita.
Oh, spoiler.
Hey,
But-
it's a spoiler.
But yeah, that was actually pretty interesting. Like actually losing people, like
Yeah.
main characters, casts, and stuff.
Well, I'll kind of talk on that a little bit. Like she was a main character a little bit later on. I think the saddest part, and this is a spoiler alert for people who aren't level 50 yet, is when Sylph died at Waking Sands. That was emotional. I was really upset about that. But it felt like they kind of introduced her as a character, and she was like a nice little fun character to kind of, I guess, do clever comments back and forth. And I forget, is it Uranger? Is that his name?
Uranger.
Uranger?
Urianger.
Uranger. Oh, it's like a French name.
Urianger.
Yeah. Okay, so, yeah, and so it made a lot of emotional ties to that, and so people kind of got upset when she died. And it makes sense. They kind of brought a character in that people kind of get attached to, care a little bit about, and then they killed her off because that's kind of what happens in good stories. People die.
I honestly wish that she would have stuck around a little longer. I don't think that we got to get her character fully fleshed out, but I mean, I like what they did with it. It was still an emotional part of the story.
Yeah, I'm glad they introduced it, and it is sad to see her go, but hopefully, I know they're going to have more emotional stuff coming up soon.
Yeah.
Which
I think someone discussed that we may see an important character disappearing soon.
Yeah, which is really sad to think about. And I'll talk a little bit about that because there's actually a note on that a little bit later too. But overall, I would say compared to other MMOs, the story here is pretty solid for what it is. It's a Final Fantasy story, and I'm glad they have something that's a lot less than, or a lot more than just go kill 20 squirrels and be back. Every single quest. And
and you don't even know why you're doing that. You're okay.
Yeah.
Go get me
Level
these crates, Aaron boy.
It's all FedEx quest, man. All right, so the next and last part of the content that, at least that I thought of to bring up, is Hildebrand. What do you guys think about him being included into the storyline right now? I mean, he's not anything serious with the game. He's just kind of that side little story that you can follow and enjoy. Gilly, how much have you followed Hildebrand?
Actually, that's the only storyline I actually started and finished and watched every single cutscene for. It was great. It was great.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. But if they introduce him into the story, I don't know, he might ruin it because it's kind of like.
I hope they don't. They need to keep it separate.
Yeah, they need to keep a separate story because it's like almost saying that, like Jackie Chan. You can't take him serious, and he wants to be a serious role, but when you throw, like, Hildy is our Jackie Chan. You throw him,
That's the first
into
time
something,
I heard that.
you throw him into trying to be serious, and you're just going to be like, no, he's joking, it's fine. Just, dust it under the rug.
I agree. Adagio, have you followed the story pretty well for him?
Yeah, I've gone through the whole storyline, and the first cutscenes with him and his dad, when you first find out who his dad is, that first cutscene where they're doing that run scene and stuff, I was laughing my ass off. I was crying, streaming tears. It was just so funny. I definitely have enjoyed the Hildebrand story quest.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful they added something like that into the game to kind of take your mind off of things, and and it's not anything difficult either. It's just like, here's a little side soap opera that's kind of a joke, and it's great. I love it. Do you think they should add more of those, or just having Hildebrand is just one? It's just enough. You think, do we not need any more, or would you like to see another one like that?
I want to see more for sure.
Yeah.
I think if anything, they should add more with Gilgamesh. If they're going to do a separate kind of funny story, they should do Gilgamesh and Hildebrand. So.
Although he might end up like Joey's spinoff from Friends.
Oh God, just bomb.
Yeah, just completely bomb. But no, I'm sure that people would follow Gilgamesh. They love him as a character.
Yeah.
But I would like to see. I don't know if they start adding a whole bunch of them, then you have a whole bunch you have to kind of keep up with. But you still have that urge for more. And I don't know if they added a second one, if then you would care a little bit less because you have more to work with. I think it would be kind of interesting to just see them try to make another side story and keep Hildebrand up, but, just Hildebrand, other side story, Hildebrand, other side story. Maybe have them kind of, show up in each other's story every once in a while and just keep it separate from the main story completely. Gilly, what do you think if they added more kind of Hildebrandish stuff?
I'd be fine with it. I mean, just as long as it keeps up with the humor. Because, I mean, the game kind of turned towards a more serious and dark note at the end of this last chapter. And I was just like, wow, I'm just really depressed right now. Mm-hmm. And then I got the Hildebrand quest on the side and then just started doing it. I'm like, okay, that was worth it. That was hilarious.
I did the same thing. I completely ignored it for a couple of patches and then I just kind of binged on it and ran through all of them. Chucky here has, and this is Merywin by the people who know who Merywin is. He said, Delivery Moogle. Have you guys done any of the Delivery Moogle stuff?
Yep.
I haven't done any of it. What do you guys think of it?
It's really boring.
It's boring?
I started the quest, and that's about as far as I've gotten.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I don't know. Like, the Delivery Moogle seems kind of... I want to do it because I know it's just something extra in the story, but it just seems... I haven't heard great things about it. Like, you hear good things about Hildebrand, but you don't hear good things about... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my Moogle Delivery Moogle has basically gone the way of the sightseeing log.
It's like, oh, I'm delivery bitch.
Yeah.
21.
Yeah, is it really you just kind of go to people and just deliver stuff to them, and that's all?
Yeah.
So you're literally FedEx or UPS.
I've heard that some of the text is really good at, I don't know, just not enough for me.
I gotcha. Well, what about if they added more Beast Tribe stories and they made those interact a little bit more than they do? Like right now, you do a regular quest form and there's not a lot of story to it, right? There is some, but you don't really get too much. I didn't get much into it. What do you guys think about Beast Tribe, Adagio?
I thought the Beast Tribe was pretty good, but again, like I said, I've read like all the text that came associated with it. So the storyline that they have behind, like if you max out all the Beast quests and get the rank 7 on all of them, it's pretty good. I do like to see where they are going eventually with it, but right now it's just kind of in a lull because we don't have any new Beast Tribes. So basically, I'm just doing the Ixali slave every day.
Slave to the Ixali.
I haven't done any of them, but I haven't got any crafting, and that could be why I'm avoiding it so much. Gilly, what do you think about adding more Beast Tribe stuff? I mean, they're going to have more in Heavensward, of course, but do you think they should do more involved stuff with that?
Something that ties in more of your character, and like it's kind of like 3 different stories. Like we have the main story, we also have Hildebrand, and then the Ixalis is starting to build up its own like story chapter. So that's kind of nice to see. So I'm kind of curious to see what they do with the new race and see what they do with that. Mm-hmm. The Ixalis was actually really cool. Lalafell was told by his dad to not hang out with these group of kids because they're bad, but come to realize, they helped him save the dad at the end or something that. I think, or it was in reverse or something like that. Mm-hmm. It was good. I actually enjoyed that Ixali story for that one, building the airship.
Mm-hmm. But they haven't really done much after that, right? It was just like that, and then you're done. Mm-hmm. So, it would be cool to see if they added a little bit more side stuff for them, but really I don't touch them because I don't do crafting, and I think a lot of people who don't do crafting don't touch them either anymore. And just because, Chucky, I'll look into Delivery Moogle and try it out, and I'll see if I can get into it. And if I can get into it, then I'll completely bite my tongue on that and never say anything bad about it again. But, alright, so, what do you guys think about how frequent they do new content? I think they do Honestly, I think they do pretty good for what they have. Um, but I know a lot of people probably want more than that. Adagio, what do you think about the frequency of them releasing new content?
I would have to say the only time where I've ever felt the lull in the boredom between patches is right after Labyrinth of the Ancients dropped, because I just spammed it so much on my white mage, and I ended up quitting for a month after that. But then I came back in 2.0, and ever since then, I've just felt like there's enough content to go through. By the time I'm getting done with my relic farm, or by the time I'm finishing up the coils, it's come time for the next patch. The next content patch comes out. So I think right now the pacing is pretty good. I think that they're in a good spot, and if they just keep up with it, they can go pretty far with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now they're doing pretty good because they just have lots of stuff and it's built up pretty well. But you know, a lot of people beat the content after a week and they're just done with it. Gilly, what do you think about the how much they're releasing right now?
At the rate they're going right now, it's actually pretty good. Because I mean, our group is at a pretty. I actually say it's at a pretty good pace because we don't beat content as fast. So we're not bored, burnt out. Doing the same thing before new stuff comes out. So we're kind of at a pretty comfy spot. So I am actually enjoying the content at the pace they're going. Like every 3 months, there's something new, and then after that, there's something else new, and then here's some casual stuff so you can rest. And yeah, I'd have to agree with Adagio. Like actually at a pretty good, I guess, ends. I don't know.
Here is where I say this kind of ties back into casual hardcore. If you're a casual player in this game, the way they release the content, I think it works out perfectly for you. If you're hardcore, again, you beat it in a week and you're just bored for 6 months. You see new content, but you blast through that in days because it's usually casual content. You only get hard content every 6 months. And to a lot of people, you compare it to other MMOs who have giant dungeons of 12 bosses when they release it. But this one only has 4. And just to kind of go on a different angle of that, this has 4 good bosses. Other MMOs will come out with 12 bosses that are just half-assed and thrown together. But that's just my 2 cents on it. And I think that it's hard for them. I mean, can you think of an MMO that releases content more than what Final Fantasy does right now?
Not really.
I think they do pretty good. And I mean, they made sure to keep people invested a little bit before Heavensward came out with doing these 3 different patches, although it's like one big patch kind of separated into 3. I mean, Gold Saucer was good to do by itself because Gold Saucer had lots of new things and elements to the game like Triple Triad, Chocobo Racing, and just tons of different things you can mess around with. And then you had the patch in January, which started us on the path going to Heavensward, and so it got us, something to taste. It gave us Odin, which again, no one's really going back and doing it. Made it a little bit easier to go into Final Coil with some of the other stuff they added in that patch. And then this next one that's coming up, it's coming up next week, Tuesday next week, and then we'll be in the next patch. It's going to finish off, the storyline for this game until we go into the expansion. And I recommend everybody gets that done within weeks. And I'll tell you why.
They said, I think, quote unquote, even if you skipped every cutscene and just speed ran through it, it'll still take you up to 3 days to finish all that content.
Wow.
Like 72 hours worth. I'm just like,
Jesus.
That's a lot of story.
But we need to. And this goes on to one thing that I want to talk about and just remind everybody. They're doing the Heavensward opening cinematic in a theater. The first release they're going to do for that is in April 11th in Japan, and they're inviting like 500 people who applied, and they don't have to pay anything. They just have to put in an application, apparently. And if they match up, then they can go and see a live letter, live there in person. And then they see the open cinematic before everyone else does. And that's going to be on the internet and everywhere else, I'm assuming, April 11th. So if you don't have 2.55 done by April 11th, you might get tons of spoilers. Because apparently there's things in that cinematic that relate to the story. And you see why the Warrior of Light is so upset in the videos. So if someone dies, you want to find out through the main story. You don't want to find out through the opening cinematic, right?
Oh, yeah.
But we're not the Warrior of Light anymore.
Oh well, we're the Warrior of the Dragon voice. We're into like
big god somewhere now.
we're Elder Scrolls now.
Fusruda.
Oh gosh. But yeah, I think to finish off the kind of the in-game content discussion, I think that I'm content with the content and how they're releasing it right now. I know a lot of people want more, but there's only so much they can do. I think if they release something that people could be competitive about, then we'd be in a good spot, because then people would have something else to do besides just PvE. Like if they did time trials, like if you had a leaderboard for how fast you completed a trial, or you had a leaderboard for Triple Triad, or you had a good PvP system, then the people who are hardcore will have something to do after they're done with PvE within that first week. That's the only thing I would say that they could do better with new content, because new content, you can only do so much to get that stuff out the door. So coming into our last points here, so I just have a couple of reminders of things I read up on recently over the last week. So, like I said, they're going to do that opening cinematic on April 11th, so make sure you get that 2.5 done as quickly as you can, 2.55. They're also going to... Do you guys even know there's an old Lodestone website?
Yeah, for Final Fantasy 11. I think they had it open for a while just because Final Fantasy 11 is going free to play and it's going to get its last expansion, which is why they kept it up.
I gotcha.
And I think they're shutting it down soon because they're going to implement a new Lodestone for that, something similar to what we got for A Realm Reborn. So,
yeah, I mean, I honestly didn't know about it until they said they were shutting it down, to be honest with you. I barely even used the current Lodestone. The only reason I go into current Lodestone is to look at forums and look at Dev Tracker and see if there's anything interesting that they post, because there's a lot of news that they put in there that just kind of gets swept under the rug. Adagio, did you know they had a old Lodestone website?
I didn't, but I did hear about them throwing 11 to free to play, and I think they're also going to be making a mobile app where you can play it on a phone.
Oh, 11 on an app?
Yeah, I heard a podcast earlier today. It said that they were going to put 11 on mobile phones. Gee. I don't know how authentic that is, but that's something I heard.
That seems crazy. I don't know how I would play any MMO on a mobile phone, unless if I had a controller that I hooked up to it, and then it was like a mini screen. I don't know, but it would be so tiny. Mm-hmm. There are MMOs out for mobile phones that you use your thumbs on the screen and everything to kind of interact with it, but it seems a little bit weird to me. I never got into 11 because I couldn't. Again, I tried to play it, I pressed the space bar, I didn't jump, and I logged out.
Yeah, I got a Science Sensei saying that it's going to be in 2016, the app.
Oh, yeah? Wow, that's 11. Jesus Christ, how long can that thing go on?
As long as they push it, I guess.
It's been out since the PS2.
Wow.
But they are shutting down, I think, the PS2 and the Xbox 360 servers soon, from what we were hearing.
I mean, it's been out longer than WoW. That thing's been around for how many years now?
Since 2003, I think.
2003, so 12 years? 14 years? I mean, that's impressive. I mean, now they're changing it to free-to-play, and they're going to do the last expansion. That has to be the last leg of the MMO, right? They can't really do much more.
It's going to be at the end of the story. It's like, all right, to continue your journey, go buy A Realm Reborn.
Go buy. This leads into Final Fantasy 14. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, well, I applaud 11 for what it's done. Good job. That's really impressive to see it run that long. So the other part on this is that if you guys haven't got your Moogle outfit yet from buying a premium stream, your last chance, I think, ends at the end of this month. It is the best headpiece that you can get. The rest of the body's kind of but I completely recommend getting that Moogle outfit. And just to show you how amazing it looks, give me just a second.
I've seen it at Gillies run a couple of Final Coil runs with that head on.
Yeah, look how amazing it is. It's just the best headpiece that you ever had, especially if you're a warrior. For some reason, it just fits together. And with the body type of a row, I don't know. I don't think I can ever take this hat off. It's permanent. It is now completely my face. All right, so just if you guys want it, end of the month is your last chance. Before maybe they put it in cash shop. I don't know. Let me get this back up. Reminders. Okay. Also, if you guys what do you guys play on? Do you guys play on PC?
Yep. PC.
Yeah, I'm PC. We have one person that's on the PS4, and I think everyone else is on PC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they have two of them are on PS4 controllers. So we have the PS4 person, and one of them's on PC but plays with a controller, and it's our Bard, surprisingly enough.
Yeah. Actually, our Ninja played on a PlayStation 3 for our entire Final Coil.
Wow,
Yeah.
That's really
he does
That's
well.
actually
He does really
impressive,
well.
yeah.
Because I've heard of turn 5 dive bombs was actually pretty bad for PS3 people.
Oh gosh, I can't even imagine. Okay, so go to DJ John real quick. Yeah, if you want to get the premium stream, I think you just go to Twitch and you go to. They actually have a link. Go to the main. Type in Lodestone NA or something like that, and they'll have a link to where you can go purchase the premium Tokyo stream, and it will let you purchase that. And purchasing that gives you the Moogle outfit. It's pretty awesome. If this is your last chance, I think, to get it, unless if they release it to the cash shop. But okay, back to the PlayStation. So yeah, he recently upgraded the PlayStation 4, and he's taken advantage of the PS4 upgrade. That ends April 1st. So if you're playing on a PlayStation 3, and you're thinking about getting a PlayStation 4, maybe just go ahead and do it. Get the free upgrade so you don't have to, because that is kind of annoying. Where if you want to get a PlayStation 3. And a PC copy, you have to buy 2 copies. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about that, by the way? I just want to hop on that because it's something that I've thought about for a little bit. Do you think it makes sense to have players have to buy a PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 copy and a PC copy of Realm Reborn?
I think if you buy the PC copy, you should be able to get the PS4 one for free. Because, I mean, there's no sense to kind of disregard the people who had a PC and kind of just favored the PS4 more because they, wanted to free up more of their, electronics at home.
Mm-hmm.
But then it makes sense because, like, they would be doubling up, I guess you could say that.
I mean,
if
they
they
were
had
getting
multiple
money
accounts.
from it, but...
Yeah. I don't know. It's like a win trade situation for me.
Dacia, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a flawed system in that way because I've heard that people have like 5 or 6 of the games because they need the codes for multiple systems, and that's just pointless. So why would you buy the game 6 times to play it? I mean, you should buy the game once and pay your monthly subscription and play it on whatever you want to.
I agree. I think the platform shouldn't matter where you play it on, and when you buy a copy, you're buying an account. That makes more sense to me. You say, hey, I have an account now. I bought an account. I can play it wherever I want to. If you have 5 different PCs, you can play it on any of those PCs. So it doesn't make sense to why you can only play, if you want to play on a PlayStation, you have to buy a completely different copy. But it could be something within the licensing agreement with Sony and all that stuff. I don't know.
I think that's actually what it was.
Yeah, maybe they don't want to have games that are free for the PlayStation. But I won't get into it too much. I know Square. I actually, playing Realm Reborn, I have gained a lot more respect for Square. I mean, there was a point to where I was kind of losing it, like playing Final Fantasy 13. A lot of people were upset that was kind of just like a hallway game, and it's a little bit different than what people were used to with Final Fantasy. But then they came in with Realm Reborn, and they gained a lot more respect, at least for me, with the game. So it's hard for me to be upset when they have these things going on, because I think if there's something they can do to make the players happy, they're probably going to do something to make the players happy, because they're feeding off of that right now. That's how they're surviving and doing so well in the MMO world, is that they're making their players happy. They're doing live letters, and they're talking to the people, and then they're taking suggestions, like at FanFest when they're like, gonna do an ADS mount. A couple of patches later, we have an ADS mount, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, that is all of the news. Did you guys hear about anything that I might have missed over the last week that might be interesting?
They hiked the price up for collector's editions for like Best Buy, GameStop, and everybody.
Really?
Yep.
What is it over at
I
GameStop?
think it's 150 versus 130. I
Why?
think. I don't know. I have no idea.
That is insane.
Wow.
I know a lot of people in Europe were kind of ticked off because they made 100 and well, I think it was 135 in both
Yeah.
like different currencies, and that just doesn't add up.
And I
Um,
think in Canada it's like 170, but I think the US dollar is pretty much worth more there, so
yeah.
it makes sense.
So I don't know exactly what they were doing there, but I'm luckily enough I'm in North America, so it doesn't really affect me too much. But I don't know. I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to complain and then have to pay more for a game. Um, and honestly, with the collector's edition, it's really cool for the physical items, but unless if they add a Chuckaboo with a rocket pack for your mount, I don't know if I'll get the digital collector's edition. Uh,
Got the Griffin mount. Do you know what that Griffin mount?
it reminds me too much of WoW.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so if I think about it, I think of WoW instantly. Um, all right. Well, I think that's all I got for tonight. If you guys have any other questions, real quick, this would be the time to ask them. And again, tonight, Gilly Valentine, Adagio here with me tonight. I appreciate you both coming. Let me do something real quick. I want to actually get your stream profiles up here so other people can kind of see those. And let me get you Fur Piece. Where are you, Fur Piece? What's your icon looking like now? Oh, you're the Big Six.
It's Baymax.
Oh, Baymex. All right, there we go. Check these guys out. They are awesome Exodus streamers. The Exodus scene isn't really too big right now for streaming, and they're both fun to watch. And my dog is right under me, and I'm rolling over him with my chair, and he's gonna probably squeal here in a little bit. But I think thank you guys all for watching. I appreciate everyone showing up tonight. If you guys have any suggestions or if you have any comments or anything, let me know. Send me a Twitch message. You can contact me on YouTube, which is pretty easy. Just look up MogTalk and it'll go straight to my YouTube. You can also catch me on Reddit if you want to talk to me on Reddit with Frosty_TV. But I will be back here next week, and Gilly, Adagio, if you guys want to come up next week, I'm sure I'll have a spot for you.
No.
All right.
Naughty.
I'd like to give a shout out to Weasel Drake.
Somebody say no.
Oh, that's the family.
Oh, okay.
They said
Weasel
you
Drake?
can't. No more Gilly. No more Gilly.
What does shout out to Weasel?
Weasel Drake. He's on Exodus. Told me to give him a shout out, so
Shout out,
here's your
man.
shout out.
Definitely. And I appreciate everybody for watching too. This concept I've been working on for a while, and I spend like half my day looking for this stuff on Mondays to make sure I have something that might be enjoyable to watch and some sort of interesting news. And I like it. It's fun talking with you guys. It really is. I feel like the streaming community needs more things like this instead of just watching people craft all day. But anyways, we'll repeat this again Monday, 9:30 Eastern. Tonight was a little bit later. We had to start at 10 Eastern. I should be on time next week, but we'll definitely see. If it's not, then I'll post it up. And it'll just be on news and general discussion. You guys, thank you all for watching and have a wonderful night.